What if the secret to losing belly fat wasn't eating less, but eating actually more? For years, I followed the standard advice. I shredded calories, spent hours on the treadmill, and was left exhausted, irritable, and soft in the middle. Then I discovered a simple, boring method that flipped the script and let me eat more, get stronger, and finally get shredded. If you're tired of diets that leave you hungry and frustrated, today I'll show you the sustainable blueprint you've been looking for. Hi, my name is Boris Kish. I'm an IVB license coach, professional nutritionist, and a super heavyweight bodybuilding competitor in the over 100 kilo category, which is over 220 pounds on stage. I'm 6'4" tall, which is 193 centimeters. Welcome to my channel. Now I would really like to start with this situation that I always had, that you have, and that I see that a lot of guys in my comments are complaining. And this is, you cut it down, right? Your calories, you're doing your cardio, you're doing your training, you're around maybe 2000 calories or even below. You're doing everything right, but the weight simply isn't going down, right? It's frustrating, it's hurtful, and it makes you want to stop. You understand? I mean, and this is, I would like to explain you all the way until the end why I don't believe in calorie deficit. Actually, I had a small argue, not a small, a huge argue with artificial intelligence today. I use Claude, and he told me, now they will bury you in the comment section, calorie deficit exists. And I wanted to throw my laptop out of the window, but at the end, I was able to explain him what I think, and yes, you will be in the deficit without actually going into the deficit. I mean, does this make sense to you? And I'm going to explain you how. I mean, because first of all, you have to understand that this is actually the question that I asked for him. For example, let's say you start with 3000 calories. You adjust your macros, protein, fats, carbs, right? And then let's say 3000 calories. And then you hit a stagnation, right? A plateau. Can you relate with this? This is something, I will tell you also my personal story. This is what I also did in the past when I started. And then what? You hit the wall. Here is the wall next to me, and you get into the panic mode. You don't know what to do. And what's next, right? Reducing the calories. And then you reduce to like 2500 calories from the 3000, and then this works for another, let's say, 2 weeks, right? And then boom, you hit the wall again. And then what? Then you reduce it in, let's say this is already a month, right? To 2000 calories. And then what happens? You're already fucked, right? Ghrelin and leptin, the hormones that are signaling the fat loss in the system, are stuck. You are exhausted. The fat doesn't go. You feel like crap. You cannot function. You cannot have sex with your girlfriend or with your wife or with both, right? And you feel like shit. And then what? Then when 2000 calories stops, what's next? If you're going to go into the deficit, then what's another step? 1500. With 1500 you're going to be completely zombified. Can you relate with this? So I'm going to explain you actually what I did wrong and how to fix this. Before that, I would like, because I will explain you also how to train, I would like to tell you that I created 3 completely free training splits for you. Just have to join my coaching newsletter, and I'm going to send them straight to your email. So the personal story here is that actually, when I started my first diet, believe it or not, I did something extremely stupid, and I went down to 800 calories. Imagine how dumb was that, right? Like 200 grams of protein for the whole day, because I read somewhere on the internet that Lee Haney, 8-time Mr. Olympia, was preparing himself with only 200 grams of protein. Of course, he had carbs and fats, and I decided to go to the extreme. And was I getting smaller? Yes, even on steroids, I was losing strength, I was losing my, volume, and I got lean. For the first contest, I was actually 6th as a super heavyweight junior. and I catabolized at least 10 kilograms of muscle mass. So do you understand? My channel is not how to lose weight no matter what, but how to be lean, around 12% of body fat, that you can do no matter what kind of genetics you have, and that you can perform in the gym while doing your cardio, when you're walking in the city, when you're playing with your children, when you're having sex with your partner, whatever you do. That's the point of this episode, and that's the point of my channel, you know. So how to, for example, how to train properly is next, and how to increase those calories so that you are in deficit without actually thinking about deficit and going to the deficit, right? Let's say, again, another argue that I had with Claude Artificial Intelligence is, you know, that I would say, let's say if we imagine the imaginary person that's called whatever you want to call him, let's say Peter, because the new Spider-Man is coming out, so the Peter came first on my head. So let's say that Peter has 90 kgs and he's around 180 centimeters. So we are not speaking about some office worker that never did any kind of sport, cardio, that is actually inactive. So if Peter is going to the gym at least 4 or 5 times per week, doing progressive overload, training hard, can you relate with this? You know, lifting really, really heavy, doing at least HIIT cardio of 20 minutes after the gym. Even if the Peter doesn't do anything, he's going to burn 3,000 calories per day if he's just going to lay in bed. Do you understand? So this is already physically active person. And you know, of course, if he's going to lay in bed every day, it's going to decrease every week. But if this is a physically active, if Peter is a physically active person, around 3,000 calories he's going to burn no matter what. So what's the lowest calorie intake that you're supposed to take? I would really like to ask you before that, if you like this content that is raw, real, unfiltered, uncut, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I really appreciate it. So, you know, the minimum that I would say is Peter and you, fuck him now, we don't need him anymore, you're supposed to eat is 2,500 calories. I take even more, but I'm around 133 kgs plus minus in the morning. These days, you know, because it's summer, I can lose a lot of water because I'm sweating and pissing at least 3 times per night in the summertime. So 2,500 calories is the minimum that you should take. Approximately 200 grams of protein. I take 5, I'm not natural. 500, so I would say 200 grams of protein is the lowest minimum. 300 grams of carbs, 50 grams of fat. Do you understand? So this is, imagine if you do nothing, you're already 500 calories in deficit. Okay, of course this is going to stabilize soon, but how are you then supposed to go into the deficit without actually doing deficit? By training 4 or 5 times per week and doing cardio, 20 minutes HIIT cardio, 1 minute fast, 1 minute slow. It's not extremely hard, right? After the training, you're going to burn additional 1,500 to 2,000 calories per day. Do you understand? This is your deficit, because with 2,500 calories that I highly recommend that you don't go below. Sorry, just had my protein shake. You will be able to function and to perform. Do you understand? You cannot be zombified with 300 grams of carbs, with 200 grams of protein, with 50 grams of fat. Do you understand? So this is your maintenance plus the deficit you're going to achieve from physical activity. If you have sex 1-2 times per day with your partner, especially if you're on TRT, why not? You know, if you know you are about 40, I'm 42, and when you're taking the therapy, you know you will be able to perform. And this is additional at least 500 calories. So this is 2,500 calories already in the deficit without doing the deficit. Do you understand? Does this make sense for you? And if you're going to play with the children, you know, cut the grass on your yard, do some other physical activity, you can get for another if you don't go everywhere with the car, no matter what. I'm not saying avoid driving with the car, but if you go with the foot here and there, that's already 3,000 calories altogether in the deficit without going into the deficit. Do you understand? So this is my strategy why I say you have to eat more instead, as the thumbnail says, instead of eating less and going into the survival mode. Do you understand? I mean, can you go as low as possible? Yes, but how will that look? You will look like a Jack the Skeleton and you won't be able to perform. So when I also say eat more, this actually means, I mean, if you feel that fat is going down and that your basic metabolism is asking for more, you are supposed to eat more. Highly, so hot, 36-7 degrees today here. You're supposed to also have a cheat meal on weekend, at least one, and it's called the refeed meal, not the cheat meal, because if you're going to slowly but surely, you know, even with the increased physical activity, go into the, how can I say, some kind of small stagnation, but you want refeed meal. Here is actually the meal that's going to cheat your body that you stopped with the diet, and the fat burn is going to go even faster for the next 3, 4, 5 days. So think about cheat meal as a tool, not as cheating. This is why I like to call it a refeed meal. Do you understand? Because the point of all of this that you can and that you deserve is that you're able to function properly and not only survive. Do you understand? For example, my lowest minimum right now, when I'm around 12% of body fat already, is around 3,500 calories. But as I told you in the introduction, I'm much taller and bigger guy probably than you. If I'm not, feel free to tell me that in the comments. And I would like to know approximately how long do you train per day? Do you do cardio or not? You know, how can I say, day in the gym looking? Feel free to write that in the comments, and of course ask me any kind of additional question. If you have, tell me, do you agree, disagree? If you have any kind of compliment on insult, it's more than welcome. But next, if you really want to learn 5 steps that you cannot miss if you want to reach 12% of body fat even quicker, click on this video right here. Thank you a lot for watching, and I'll see you there.